When the sky turned black.
The planet Ristalia had known fear before, storms that ripped apart sky farms, quakes that swallowed whole valleys, diseases brought by wandering traders. But none of those compared to the terror spreading now across the crystalline plains. The Draxian conquest fleet had arrived. The Ristalians were a peaceful species, built for harmony, not war. Their crystal-hollow bones snapped easily, their soft skin bruised at a touch, and their voices trembled even when they tried to shout. They were artists, singers, builders, not fighters. Yet here they stood, thousands packed together inside the capital's lost dome, watching through transparent shields as the Draxian war machines landed one by one. Elder Luro, old enough to have seen the last war and survive it, held the trembling hand of a youngling beside him. "Elder," the child whispered, "will it hurt?"
Luro closed his eyes.
Yes. The dome shook. Dust drifted from the ceiling. A Draxian gunship, monstrous and jagged, hovered just beyond the shield. Its cannons warmed, glowing molten red. Shields failing in 30 seconds, someone reported, voice cracking. The Ristalians, too frightened to run, simply knelt, pressing their foreheads to the floor.
Some prayed. Some sobbed.
The sky itself seemed to dim as the Draxian ship charged its main weapon. "Prepare yourselves," Laura whispered. "This is the end." But then, something strange happened. The clouds above the Draxian ship parted,
as if punched from the other side.
A streak of burning fire tore through the sky, then another, then a dozen more.
Glowing trails arced downward like falling stars. No, not stars. Drop pods.
The Ristalians stared in frozen disbelief. "Ident signatures unknown," the shield technician stammered. "Incoming objects descending at impossible velocity." Luro raised his head, eyes wide. What species drops their soldiers straight onto a battlefield from orbit?"
No one answered.
Because none of them had ever seen a human before.
The humans arrive. The first pod smashed into the ground with so much force the dome trembled.
The Draxian cannons pivoted, targeting the new threat. The pod hissed, metal glowing orange from atmospheric re-entry, and its front panel blew outward.
A towering figure stepped out, broad-shouldered,
encased in black armor scorched by fire. A glowing visor, bright like a predator's eye.
2 weapons strapped to each arm. He looked like a walking storm. The Ristalians held their breath. The soldier raised his fist.
And behind him, every other pod opened, at least 50 of them, revealing more armored figures, all standing tall, unshaken by the landing that would have pulped any other species. The lead soldier spoke, voice amplified through the dome's external speakers. "Civilians of Ristalia," he said calmly, "stand by. Humanity has answered your distress beacon."
Humanity? Most Ristalians had only heard rumors.
Myths. Exaggerations. Stories of a primitive species that evolved on a death world filled with poisons, predators, ice storms, volcanic eruptions, and diseases that wiped out entire populations every century.
If a species could survive their homeworld,
what could threaten them anywhere else?
The Draxians found out quickly.
The lead human pointed at the gunship hovering overhead.
"Neutralize that."
Half a squad broke formation. They charged forward,
on foot, toward a vehicle twice their size.
The Draxian cannons opened fire.
And the humans didn't even flinch.
Their shields absorbed the blasts, armor sparking, but they pushed on, unwavering, unstoppable. When they reached the ship, one soldier leaped onto its hull, ripped open a panel with his bare hands, and shoved a thermal charge inside. The explosion turned night into day. The entire Restalian dome gasped as the gunship fell in pieces. "By the crystals," Elder Luro whispered. "They fight like storms wearing armor." Middle, the cost of hope. The humans spread across the battlefield, moving with precision that felt unnatural. Every strike was clean. Every shot purposeful. Every motion coordinated with the rest of their squad. But the Draxians were not done. Hundreds of them marched from behind their transports, tall, armored, brutal warriors known for wiping out civilizations effortlessly. One Restalian youngling cried, "They'll overwhelm them." But Elder Luro shook his head slowly. "No, watch." The Draxians charged. The humans did not retreat. Human shields flared with brilliant white light. Their weapons roared, heavy slugs that bent metal, energy pulses that vaporized armor. When Draxians attempted to flank, humans simply repositioned, covering the angles instantly. They weren't just soldiers. They were something else. Something terrifying. Then the largest Draxian emerged, over 3 meters tall, wearing thick-plated armor that could resist starship turret fire. He roared a challenge. A human stepped forward, removing his helmet. He had dark hair matted with sweat and ash, a scar across his cheek, and eyes that held the calm of someone who had seen war too many times. His troops spoke into comms. "Captain Reed." He raised one hand. "I've got this." The Draxian laughed, a horrible grinding sound, and swung a massive plasma axe. Reed ducked under it, slid forward, and rammed his shock blade through a gap in the monster's armor. One strike. One kill. The battlefield froze. Even the Restalians watching from inside the dome stopped breathing. Humans didn't fight like beings who wanted to survive. They fought like beings who had already accepted death as an inconvenience and refused to let it slow them down. The Draxian morale shattered. They broke formation. They fled. Human dropships chased them into orbit. Luro whispered, "This is impossible. The Draxians have conquered 100 worlds." A younger Restalian standing beside him spoke in awe. "Yes, but humans have survived a harder one." Middle, the doomed dome. Just as the Restalians began to hope, alarms blared. The shield technician cried out, "The dome is collapsing. Structural integrity is compromised." Cracks spread across the protective barrier. The dome had protected them from atmospheric storms for centuries, but the earlier cannon blasts had damaged its foundation. Now, with the stress of vibrations from the fight, it began folding in on itself. Captain Reed spoke through external comms. "We see the collapse. Hold tight." But the support beams broke faster than the humans could reach the dome. Massive crystal segments crumbled, falling toward the huddled Restalians. Luro spread his arms around the children. "Embrace the light," he whispered. "This time, not even the humans can save us." Boom! A human dropship slammed down between the Restalians and the falling debris, engines roaring. Soldiers leapt out, deploying portable shield emitters. The glowing berries connected, forming a dome inside the collapsing dome, catching the falling crystal beams before they crushed the civilians. The humans strained, literally holding the shields up with brute strength as their generators groaned. One soldier shouted, "Captain, overload imminent." "Hold," Reed ordered. "We can't. The crystals weigh too." "I said hold." The Restalians watched as these strange, terrifying creatures struggled not for conquest, not for pride, but for them. For a people they didn't even know. With a final roar, Reed shouted, "Push!" The soldiers synchronized their strength and shoved outward. The artificial human-made dome expanded just enough for civilians to flee through the emergency tunnels. When the last child was out,
Reed gave the order. Drop shields. Fall back.
The dome collapsed behind them with thunderous force.
But no Restalian died. Not one.
Ending, a promise heard across the stars. In the days after the battle, the Restalians gathered in the rebuilt capital to honor their saviors. Elder Luro approached Captain Reed. "You changed everything today," Luro said softly.
"You didn't just save us.
You showed us what humanity truly is."
Reed shook his head.
"We didn't do anything special."
"To us,
you did," Luro insisted. "When the Draxians came, we thought we were finished. But then your soldiers, your people, fell from the sky."
Reed smiled. "We don't abandon those who call for help. Not now.
Not ever." The Restalian younglings surrounded the humans, tugging on their armor, asking questions, offering crystal flowers. One child looked up at Reed and asked, "Why did your people come?"
"You didn't know us."
The captain knelt, placing a gentle hand on the child's shoulder. "Because no one deserves to face death alone." The Restalians would tell this story for generations.
The day their end became their beginning.
The day hope fell from the heavens wearing metal armor. The day humanity proved, again, why the galaxy feared them.
And why the innocent loved them.